Imagine this. You wake up before dawn, eyes barely open, reaching for your phone. Another day, another battle with yourself. You scroll past motivational quotes. Be better than yesterday. Discipline is freedom. Work while they sleep. The words hit like a silent accusation. You should be doing more. Your bookshelf is stacked with self-improvement guides. Your podcast queue is filled with strategies to optimize your mind, body, and habits. Your calendar is a relentless blueprint for the person you are trying to become. One day, one tweak, one upgrade at a time. Yet, deep down, an unsettling truth gnaws at you. No matter how much you improve, it never feels like enough. You've crafted morning routines that mimic high performers. You've reprogrammed your mindset to be positive and unshakable. You've conquered weaknesses, eliminated distractions, and turned life into a project of constant refinement. But there's a paradox no one talks about. The more you chase self-improvement, the further the goalpost moves. The better you become, the more flaws you see. And then comes the whisper you try to ignore. What if the very act of self-improvement is what's keeping you trapped? You dismiss the thought. No, growth is good. Evolution is necessary. Progress is the answer. Right? But here's a question that refuses to be silenced. If self-improvement is supposed to make you free, why does it feel like a prison? The ancient Stoics believed in self-mastery. Nietzsche preached the will to power. Carl Jung urged us to integrate our shadow. Modern society echoes their wisdom, but distorts it into an unrelenting demand. You must always be getting better, or you are falling behind. So you keep pushing, keep optimizing, keep searching for the next book, the next framework, the next guru with the secret to finally arriving. But arriving where? What if there is no final version of yourself? What if self-improvement isn't leading you forward, but keeping you locked in an endless loop? What if the pursuit of perfection is just another form of self-rejection? Hold that thought, because once you see the hidden problem behind this trap, you won't be able to unsee it. You were taught to believe that progress is always good, that the pursuit of a better you is noble, necessary, even the highest purpose of life. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Self-improvement, as it exists today, is not about growth, it's about self-rejection. Think about it. Why do you seek to improve yourself? Because deep down, you believe that who you are right now is not enough. Every habit you try to fix, every flaw you try to erase, every skill you obsess over mastering, it all stems from the same place. An unspoken belief that something is wrong with you, that you must earn your worth through constant refinement, that there is a final version of yourself waiting in the future who will finally be good enough. But this is where the trap tightens, because no matter how much you improve, that future self never arrives. Nietzsche called this the eternal recurrence, the idea that we are caught in a loop, reliving the same struggle endlessly. Sartre saw it as bad faith, the lie we tell ourselves to avoid confronting who we really are. And Carl Jung, he warned that if we only chase our higher self, we risk cutting off our shadow, the hidden parts of us that hold the very key to wholeness. You see, the more you try to fix yourself, the more you reinforce the idea that you are broken. And modern society profits from this. Turn on your phone and you'll see it everywhere. Self-improvement gurus selling systems to rewire your brain. Biohackers promising shortcuts to peak performance. Influencers peddling morning routines that guarantee success. Productivity, mindfulness, resilience, discipline. Turned into commodities, repackaged into checklists that never end. But here's the dark secret they won't tell you. The system is designed to keep you chasing. Because if you ever woke up one day and truly felt enough, their entire industry would collapse. So they move the goalpost. They tell you there's always another level, another upgrade, another way to optimize yourself into something more. And we buy into it, because we've been conditioned to measure our worth through progress. Schopenhauer described human desire as a pendulum, swinging between pain and boredom. When we lack something, we suffer. When we achieve it, we become restless and crave something new. This is the hidden mechanism behind the self-improvement trap. The pain of not being good enough fuels the chase. The momentary high of progress gives relief. But soon the feeling fades and the cycle starts again. You lose weight, but now you're obsessed with sculpting your body further. You learn a skill, but now you fixate on mastering the next one. You read a book, but instead of absorbing its wisdom, you rush to the next bestseller. And the most dangerous part, you don't realize you're trapped, because the trap looks like progress. It feels productive. It feels right. It even gets rewarded. Society applauds the hustlers, the grinders, the ones who never stop improving. They call it ambition. They call it discipline. But what if it's just another form of self-enslavement? The ancient Greeks had a word for this: aporia, the state of realizing that everything you've been chasing might be an illusion, that the path you thought would lead to freedom might actually be a cage. And if that's true, the real question isn't how to improve yourself further, it's how to break free. You don't notice it at first. Self-improvement feels empowering, at least in the beginning. You set goals, refine your habits, eliminate weaknesses. You become obsessed with progress, mistaking movement for meaning. You wake up earlier, read more books, track your productivity, push your limits. Every inch forward feels like proof that you are on the right path. But then something strange happens. The more you improve, the more dissatisfied you become. Your victories feel hollow, because the moment you reach one milestone, another appears. No matter how much you accomplish, a quiet voice in the back of your mind whispers, "You could still be better." At first, you think this voice is motivation, that it's pushing you toward greatness. But in reality, it's the voice of self-rejection, disguised as ambition. This is the hidden cost of endless self-improvement. It teaches you to never be satisfied with yourself, to never rest, to never feel worthy in the present moment. And this dissatisfaction seeps into every corner of your life. 1. The anxiety of never arriving. Modern self-improvement doesn't lead to peace, it breeds restlessness. You are always waiting for the day you'll finally arrive, the day when you are disciplined enough, successful enough, enlightened enough. But this day never comes. Why? Because the goalpost is an illusion. No matter how much you achieve, your mind will always find another flaw, another weakness to fix. You are never allowed to simply be. You are conditioned to chase an ideal that doesn't exist. And so instead of enjoying life, you become a prisoner of the future. You say, "I'll be happy once I lose weight." But once you do, you think, "I still need to build muscle." You say, "I'll be confident once I learn this skill." But once you master it, you feel behind in another area. You say, "I'll finally rest once I reach success." But once success comes, you feel empty and search for the next pursuit. It's an endless ladder with no top. The burnout paradox, when growth becomes self-destruction. Self-improvement is supposed to make you better, but in reality, it often makes you weaker. You sacrifice sleep in the name of productivity. You suppress emotions in the name of mental toughness. You force yourself into exhausting routines, mistaking punishment for discipline. And here's the worst part. Society celebrates this kind of suffering. The more you push yourself past exhaustion, the more people admire your dedication. They call it grit. They call it hustle. They don't see the cracks forming beneath the surface. But eventually the cracks break you. You wake up one day and realize you are burned out, exhausted, emotionally numb. The very habits that were supposed to make you stronger have drained you. Why? Because improvement without balance is self-destruction. 3. The hidden shame of not doing enough. And then there's the guilt, the constant crushing guilt. No matter how much you do, you always feel like it's not enough. You could have worked harder, you could have read another book, you could have meditated longer, you could have optimized your time better. The irony? You could be improving yourself every waking moment, and you would still feel behind. This is the dark side of self-help culture. It convinces you that you must always be working on yourself, that any moment spent resting is wasted, that slowing down is failure. And so you live in a state of constant self-judgment. You feel guilty for not being productive. You feel guilty for enjoying things that aren't useful. You feel guilty for simply existing without improvement. But what if this guilt isn't a sign that you need to do more? What if it's a sign that you need to stop? The loss of joy, when life becomes a self-improvement project. What happens when you reduce everything to optimization? You stop doing things for joy. You no longer read books because they inspire you. You read them because they level up your mind. You no longer exercise because it feels good. You exercise to hit performance metrics. You no longer engage in hobbies for fun. You turn them into side hustles. Your entire life becomes a project, a checklist, a game of constant self-upgrading. But here's the question. No one asks, what if the purpose of life isn't to be maximized? What if self-improvement should serve you, not the other way around? What if the real goal isn't to become perfect, but to become whole? Hold on to that thought, because the only way to escape this trap is to rebel. You were never supposed to be perfect. Let that sink in. All your life, you've been chasing a version of yourself that doesn't exist, an ideal forged by society, self-help culture, and your own insecurities. You have been running toward a future where you are finally enough, but that future is an illusion. And once you realize that, you have two choices. You can either continue the chase, forever climbing an invisible ladder with no top, or you can rebel. 1. The courage to stop running. The first act of rebellion is terrifyingly simple. Stop. Not forever. Not in resignation. But long enough to ask yourself, what am I really chasing? Most people never pause long enough to question the cycle. They just keep going. More goals, more optimization, more pressure. But here's a radical thought. What if self-improvement isn't about adding more? What if it's about letting go? Let go of the need to prove yourself. Let go of the belief that you are broken. Let go of the idea that your worth is measured by progress, because you were never supposed to earn your own existence. 2. Reclaiming the power of presence. The trap of self-improvement is that it always places happiness in the future. You tell yourself, I'll be fulfilled once I fix this flaw, master this skill, reach this goal. But life doesn't exist in the future. It exists now. The rebellion is to live fully in the present, not as an unfinished project, but as a person who is already whole. Instead of reading books to level up, read them because they move you. Instead of exercising to sculpt yourself into an ideal, move your body in ways that feel good. Instead of meditating as a means to optimize your mind, sit in stillness simply because it is enough. There is nothing wrong with wanting to grow, but growth should feel like expansion, not exhaustion. It should make you feel alive, not like a machine in need of constant upgrades. 3. The art of doing things for no reason. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that everything must have a purpose. If you take a walk, it should be for exercise. If you pick up a hobby, it should be monetized. If you learn something, it should be useful. But here's the thing. Not everything has to be useful. Rebellion means reclaiming the pointless joys of existence, doing things for no reason other than they make you feel human. Draw something, even if you're bad at it. Write a journal entry, even if no one will read it. Listen to music, not as background noise, but as an experience. Because the most beautiful parts of life aren't optimized, they're simply lived. The paradox of true self-improvement. Now here's the irony. The moment you stop trying so hard to improve yourself, you actually start growing in a deeper, more authentic way. Not because you're forcing it, but because you've created space for real transformation. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming your true self, not by erasing your flaws, but by integrating them, by embracing your whole being, rather than chasing an ideal. This is the final rebellion, to accept yourself fully, as you are, without conditions, to seek depth over optimization, to let life be something felt, not just measured. And once you do, you are no longer trapped. Because the real freedom was never in becoming something better. It was in realizing you were never unworthy to begin with. Imagine standing at the peak of a mountain you spent years climbing, only to realize there's nothing there. No grand revelation, no final moment of arrival, just an empty summit and the distant outline of yet another mountain. That's when it hits you. The chase never ends because there was never anything to catch. All your life you have been trying to become something smarter, stronger, more disciplined, more successful. And each time you leveled up, the goalpost moved. You kept believing that the next breakthrough would be the one to make you whole. But what if the truth is something far simpler? What if the real transformation doesn't come from becoming more, but from realizing you are already enough? 1. The lie that kept you running. The entire self-improvement industry thrives on one idea: you are not good enough as you are. It doesn't say this directly, of course. It disguises itself as motivation, as growth, as self-mastery. But beneath it all is the unspoken message: you are incomplete. You must fix yourself. You must earn your own worth. And so, you obey. You try harder. You optimize, refine, discipline yourself into something better. But here's the truth: you were never broken to begin with. The idea that you needed to be fixed was a myth, one that kept you chasing an impossible standard. 2. The prison of perpetual becoming. Friedrich Nietzsche warned about this over a century ago. He saw how people become trapped in the idea of becoming, forever striving toward an imagined future self, yet never arriving. He wrote, "Man is a rope stretched between the animal and the overman, a rope over an abyss." In other words, we exist in constant tension between what we are and what we believe we should be. But what if this rope, the endless pursuit of self-improvement, isn't a path to greatness, but a trap? What if true wisdom is realizing that the search for perfection is a game you are never meant to win? 3. The awakening. You are free. The moment you stop seeking permission to be enough, everything changes. You stop measuring your value by achievements. You stop punishing yourself for your flaws. You stop running toward a future that never arrives. And in that stillness, something profound happens. You wake up to the present moment. For the first time, you see life as it is, not as a means to an end, but as something to be experienced. The laughter of a stranger, the sound of the wind, the warmth of the sun on your skin. These things were always here. You were just too busy trying to be better to notice them. This is the ultimate rebellion. To step off the endless treadmill of self-improvement and realize you were already home. The final realization: wholeness was never something you had to earn. Carl Jung once said, "I'd rather be whole than good." At first, this seems strange. Shouldn't we strive to be good? To be better? But what Jung meant was something deeper. To be good in the self-improvement sense is to follow an external standard, one that forever moves out of reach. But to be whole means embracing all of yourself, the strength and the weakness, the light and the shadow. It means understanding that self-acceptance is not the enemy of growth, it is the foundation of it. Because paradoxically, the moment you stop trying to prove your worth, you finally become free to grow, not out of lack, but out of love. 5. The choice is yours. So now you stand at the crossroads. You can continue chasing, optimizing, and believing that happiness is just one more improvement away. Or you can choose to stop running, to breathe, to exist fully in this moment, to realize that you are already enough. The world won't tell you this truth because it doesn't profit from your peace. But deep down, you've always known it, and now you are free.